From the truest mysteries of our time.
And so the second day after it occurred, this still remains the most mysterious skyjacking in the Northwest.
D.B. Cooper, who hijacked a 727 jet plane out of Portland, Oregon on Thanksgiving Eve, 1971.
To the notorious crimes of the Northwest.
But something was new, the name Ted.
A premeditated design or intent to effect the death of said Lisa Lee. My chance to talk to the press. Contrary.
And the cases that have gone cold.
3 men burst into the business. Their motive was robbery, but it soon turned into murder.
Many unsolved cases are solvable. Maybe you know the very tip that could help crack the case. Thank you for joining us for a special edition of Unsolved Northwest. I'm Madison Wade. According to data compiled from across our state, there are about 3,500 unsolved murder and missing persons cases. Behind each of them is a search for answers and questions about what happened. Tonight, we're highlighting some of those cases. It has been 17 years since Linda Malcolm was stabbed to death, and someone lit her Port Orchard house on fire. It all happened between April 29th and 30th, 2008. Her family isn't giving up in their search, and now there's renewed hope that this case can be solved.
When firefighters got on scene, they said the house couldn't be saved, and neither could the person inside.
That was that day. We lost it.
Once inside, the rubble and ashes covered in foam flame retardant, firefighters made the grim discovery, an unidentifiable body.
Bad enough they stabbed her to death, but to have to do that to the house too. They didn't want anybody to find anything.
What do you think when you watch that?
It's how close the neighbors are, and someone had to see something.
Police on scene say they also found evidence to make them call this fire suspicious.
I had a lot of questions about Linda's case from the very start. It intrigued me.
There's somebody out there, as a family member, somebody knows something, and you need to think about it because it's not going to go away. Not as long as I'm alive. Hang in there because we're coming for you.
Whenever you're ready, I'll have you sit down. Could you kindly pick your favorite photo of Linda for me? When you look at those photos, what do you see?
I see my sister when she was little. I see her as she went through life, and she's just a great person. And this one here is her graduating from high school. She was just happy-go-lucky. My name is Cynthia Booker, and I am Linda's sister. I took care of Linda. She's always by my side. She's always with me, laughing and cutting up. This is Linda. That's me when I was younger. And there's Linda when she was little. And there's a picture of Mike when he was a baby.
Whenever she would come over, she always spent time with me. My name is Michael Booker. Linda is my aunt. She was always, like the cool aunt. If I needed anything, if I was out with my friends, I needed a ride home, I could always call her. She enlisted in the Navy. I was probably about 13, 14 years old. So in 2008, I was deployed. I came to work in the morning and opened my email and had an email from my mom. Just said that Linda was found murdered in her home out in Port Orchard, and when she was murdered, I was actually in Iraq, so I couldn't come home.
The task of finding clues is difficult, given what's left of the small, old Port Orchard house.
I wanted to understand what would lead someone to be so angry at her as to attack her and stab her 24 times and then set her house on fire. My name is Jennifer Buchholz. I'm a faculty member at American Military University. In 2022, my team and I put out a call for case submissions through the university. One of our students, Mike Booker, saw the article.
I thought, what do I have to lose? I sent the email, not thinking that I would ever get a call.
The murder is pretty chaotic.
She was stabbed, the house was set on fire.
was so much heat coming off the house that I couldn't, get past the front doors.
She was about 5'2", 110 pounds. She was strong, from what we were told, but she's little. This person didn't come in and just overpower her immediately, which I think could be a clue that she was actually up against somebody much smaller, maybe even a female.
They didn't have any leads, wasn't sure, what was going on, who done it.
It doesn't seem well planned out. It doesn't seem like the killer had any forethought of how difficult it actually is to take somebody out with a knife and what happens when that person's able to put up a defense. But the arson aspect is much more organized and sophisticated. We have not been able to rule out the idea that maybe 2 people were involved in it.
It is kind of a scary thought that, something could happen like that, to anybody.
Okay. So her house is circled in red, yeah. Linda's always on my mind. I printed this poster that I take every presentation I give. I always keep her up there too because that's how we got started and she really had a profound impact on my life. We've had pretty good communication with the Port Orchard Police Department who has jurisdiction over Linda's case. They had an unknown DNA profile that was found at the crime scene that they must think is linked to the murder. We could be very close to this case being solved. We've been on it for almost 2.5 years.
My hope for the case is that they find the person that did this. You will be found.
We were just devastated, just crawling in her, she's gone. But she's always in my heart. Never forget my sister. So I'm hopeful it's gonna happen.
Whoever did this, whoever you are, your time is coming.
When I find out that answer, I'm gonna get all my family together that I can. We're going out to my mom and dad, my sister's graves, because they're all buried together. We're gonna sit there and tell them we didn't stop.
Tracy Whitney was 18 years old when she left a fast food spot in Federal Way. That day in 1988 was the last time anyone saw her alive. Her body was found the next day near Sumner. Now, more than 35 years later, the search for her killer has narrowed in on one suspect. Sebastian Robertson reports.
When I was 11, she came over for my birthday party. This is how I last remember her. There was a twinkle in her eyes. She looked happy. I remember being upset because I hadn't seen her in a while and only truly beginning to know who she was. Every single birthday picture I have a picture of her standing behind me, including on my 11th birthday, which was the last time I saw her. She's 7 years older than me. I don't remember a lot.
Tracy was quiet, never really ever caused a problem. She had your normal childhood, good kid.
A young girl getting ready to start her life.
She'll be that age forever.
In August 28, 1988, a female deceased body was found in the Puyallup River, completely nude, no clothes. Detectives were called out to the scene to investigate. It took about 2 months before they were able to identify that she was Tracy Whitney.
Tracy went to Burger King with a couple friends. A small argument ensued. Her friends went up to use the restroom, and at that time she was emotional and she left the restaurant. As soon as her friend came out of the restaurant, him and the other friend, they went to look for her, and she was gone, nowhere to be found.
Edgewood Station, Puyallup, taking the address, please, of the medical aid. Edgewood Station, Puyallup, taking the address, please, of the medical aid.
In this particular case, there were a lot of blunt force injuries on her. The medical examiner actually ruled it as a homicide due to the fact she had died of asphyxiation caused by strangulation with probable smothering as well.
They told me that she was no longer with us. At that time, I didn't even ask what happened to her. I was devastated, felt like my world had ended. It was just the worst moment of my life.
It's something that it never leaves your mind, every day. I don't think the grief will ever go away. It'll never go away. It's the first thing I think about when I get up in the morning. Last thing I think about at night. I felt like somebody had reached down my throat and pulled my heart out. And that feeling still hasn't gone away.
5403.
Tracy Whitney's body was not identified for 2 months after it was found. In the criminal investigation world, 2 months is an eternity. The case eventually went cold. Though investigators, detectives, did have the foresight to collect and preserve DNA.
I came to the conclusion that the only way we were going to find out what happened or who murdered my daughter was if he walked in the front door of the police station.
4 decades after the Golden State Killer's crime spree began, it was genealogy that led investigators to 72-year-old Joseph DeAngelo.
When the Golden State Killer got busted, I said, this is it. This is it. This is the break that we've been waiting for.
Authorities say the last DNA sample collected Monday was a match. DeAngelo was arrested at his home the next day.
I knew that with the new technology in DNA research, it was a good chance that we could get this solved. And I had never heard of familiar DNA before, so that kind of gave me a hope.
The DNA gets submitted to them in the form that they want it, and they can create just like the public does when they are submitting their DNA. They can build up a family tree. And in this case, it came back to John Doe, Jr.
And finally, she called me up one day and she said, Ron, I'm going to come up. We've got the ID on the murder. But I want to tell you something right now. There's not going to be an arrest.
Is this the killer?
So if John Doe Jr. had been alive today, law enforcement would have probable cause to arrest.
Guillot was 65 years old at the time of his death in 2022. He's buried in a cemetery in Kent. Records show he was questioned as part of an investigation into the death of his girlfriend in 2010 and the death of his wife in 2020, though he was never arrested or convicted of any crime.
Just go straight, all the way down to 200th Street.
In my head, I imagined that we'd be going to court and I'd be sitting in the courtroom looking him in the eyes and watching him get sentenced to death or life in prison.
Take a right-hand turn. Yeah. It's kind of an empty feeling because now we know who did it. We know some background on him. But we'll never find out the true story of what actually happened. No justice, no closure. We just have a name now. And that's where it ends.
In 1978, Dale Johnson was killed in his Everett home while he was on the phone with 911. His case remains unsolved to this day, but detectives and family are confident that someone has the answers.
Emergency operator 42.
Yeah, there's a burglar in my house right now. Oh no.
In 1978, when my brother was murdered in his home, I was 16. I am the youngest of 8 children. Dale was right smack dab in the middle. He was vibrant, he was outgoing, he was like everybody's friend. I don't even know how to express how hard it's been, and it's been a very long time. It's not something you get over. On the night that he was killed, my friends and I were out, and we stopped by Dale's just to see if he was home, and he wasn't. I was at his house probably like a half an hour before this happened.
10:11 was when the call came into the dispatcher.
And he called 911.
Yeah, there's a burglar in my house right now.
616-112?
Yes.
He had gone home to change his clothes because he and his friends were gonna go out. When he got home, there was somebody in the house.
In the 911 call, Dale reports that he believed there was a burglar in his house.
Caroline, I'm going to transfer you over to the dispatcher. Give her your name, address, and location.
He's heard to be much quieter at that point.
He's upstairs right now.
What part of the house are you in?
I'm in the basement, hiding in the closet.
I believe trying to keep himself quiet so he's not discovered.
And while he was on the phone with 911, he was shot.
Your last name again?
Oh no.
I can't think of anything that he could have done that would make somebody do something like this.
He had no signs of life when they found him.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Gone. Dead.
Oh my gosh.
Bring the call the detectives. We're clearing everybody out. We're going to secure it until they get here. Call the coroner's office.
It was somebody that knew him. How well, I don't know.
Dale knew his killer. I think maybe, but again, we just don't know.
It's not just Dale that was victimized here. It was everybody who loved him and cared about him.
I mean, this family was stopped in 1978. They remember that guy in that picture, and that's it. These cases are solved because somebody knows something and somebody's able to tell us something.
Dale is featured on Snohomish County Sheriff's Office cold case playing cards. Leanne has also kept her brother's story alive by writing dozens of articles.
I'm determined that we're going to find out who did this and why.
But without resolution, they're stuck and they're hurting.
He was my older brother, and we fought and we didn't get along sometimes, but I loved him dearly.
Investigators, forensic anthropologists, and sketch artists are working tirelessly to solve a pressing question. Who do the dozens of unidentified remains at the King County Medical Examiner's office belong to? We took a trip to their autopsy suite. A look at their search for answers.
More than 2,500 people come through here, through this office every year. Our office now has approximately 56 people that are unidentified who died in King County or whose remains were found in King County. Their ties with society were so tenuous at the time of death that they've sort of become invisible. My name is Matthew Lacey. I'm the medical examiner for King County. We investigate deaths, sudden and unexpected deaths that occur in King County. The central question, the threshold question is always, who are you? The second question is, how did you die? That's the cause of death. And then the last one is the circumstances that the death occurred in. That's referred to as manner of death. So those three questions are answered for every case. So it's a process we do for everybody. It's just more difficult in certain cases, and some cases it takes us decades before we get it done, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to get it done. This is our main autopsy suite. This is one of the entryways to our main cooler, where we store bodies here who are awaiting examination and are awaiting release to their loved ones. Some of our unidentified persons have been buried in an unidentified state, but we have retained samples for bones. We know where they are. We are hoping to give them a name, but we don't have their full body anymore. In persons that come to us in a skeletonized state, we will take samples of bone, and that bone can be used to generate a DNA profile. And that bone is stored in our facility. This woman was found in January 2019. She was probably somewhere between 20 and 40 years old. She had evidence of having a prior cesarean section. She was wearing some clothing that looked like it had come from a hospital, including a hospital bracelet with a Jane Doe name on it. No hospital in the area or in Washington has any record of that. Her ultimate cause of death was hypothermia. That's about all we know about her. We've had a number of people who've called in, and we've been able to go down and track down these various leads and exclude them. So people are coming forward with information, and we're able to use that to exclude those people so far. But one day, somebody's going to come forward with the right piece of information, and we're going to be able to put her name to her face. We do work with several extremely talented people. Somebody we work with who's an excellent artist from Arizona.
And so what I do, I make sure that I get this all laid in nicely. My name is Stephen Missel. I'm a forensic facial reconstruction artist. Shape of the face is the first thing. Passion's not the right word, but it is in my bones, so to speak. For real, I was meant to be doing this. Just lay that in. I'm the person of last resort. When you get a skull, cranial remains, typically that means there is little or no other information. And it is so little that they're now saying, okay, let's have this guy draw. This is the triangle, sort of the magic triangle, the eyes and nose, where most of your recognition occurs. For a while, it's kind of tedious. You're just putting on tissue markers and this and that. And then all of a sudden, you get to the stage where you start constructing the drawing, all of a sudden it's a real person. This is one where I got the skull and did the drawing, and it turned out to be pretty spot on. Yes, when you get an ID, just a deep satisfaction. I've given them a name or help give them a name, and that means that their families can find out, even if it's sad news, at least they know.
That is our goal. It's always a relief in a way. You have this person, its responsibility is ours to find who they are. Every case is different. It's always challenging. I do feel some satisfaction every time that I can answer a question or put a name to somebody who is unnamed.
Thank you for joining us on this special edition of Unsolved Northwest. For more of our stories, you can go to King 5 Plus and also our YouTube page. We are always looking for more cases to cover. You can contact us at unsolved@king5.com. For Unsolved Northwest, I'm Madison Wade.